What's up, everybody? I'm PJ Roche. This is Triple M, Music, Money, and Management. Today, I have Ashley Sonlin, a music manager and a publisher. What's up, Ashley?
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Of course. So, tell me about what you do in management and publishing.
Yeah, so I've worked as a artist manager and I worked in a music publishing company. And so they're kind of two different roles, but in terms of each, I'll split it into two parts. So as an artist manager, you basically are, the way I like to explain it is you're kind of the middleman between the artist and the rest of their team. So like the record label, any brand partners, any fans, all that stuff would go through the artist manager first. But you're working on behalf of the artist and basically trying to make their goals happen. It's a really, really fun job, super crazy. And you don't get a whole lot of sleep, but it's really fun. We do it because we love it and you love the music, you love the artist. So that's been really, really fulfilling. And also, as a music publisher, the music publisher's job is kind of to utilize the songs of songwriters and producers. So their job is to make sure that all the songs get registered for copyright protection. They pitch songs to artists to have them potentially record it. They can pitch it to licensing opportunities for like TV and commercials. So there's a lot of different roles and it's been really, really fun.
Great. And are there any benefits to doing both of those things? Are there any synergies, that make things more efficient?
It definitely depends. Some people prefer to have those separate. Some people may like to have it all under one roof. But for me, we had a publishing company and a management company kind of under the same umbrella. So I was able to work with both. And we had some artists that were represented for one. We had some artists that were under both. So it was just kind of whatever worked best for us or what the company thought was best.
Yeah. And so those are both in one company, right? The management and the publishing.
Correct.
How did you get into that company? I mean, was that your first experience in the music industry? Tell me that story.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was not. I actually started my music journey as an artist. Was a performer and songwriter, and I ended up at Berklee College of Music in Boston. Ended up studying music business because I fell in love with, the behind the scenes kind of work, and I ended up loving that just as much as performing. So I switched gears and started pursuing that full time. So when I graduated, I moved to New York. I got a job at a talent agency for child actors and models, which was interesting. That was
Uh-huh.
my first job out of college. I worked there for about a year, but then I was constantly kind of had my eyes and ears open for a music job because that was more of obviously what I was looking for. And I ended up finding a open position through kind of this is kind of how all music jobs seem to happen. Like a friend of mine knew a friend who
Yeah.
was looking for somebody. So that's kind of how it happened. But it was really the best thing to happen to me. I absolutely loved my time there. I worked at a company called Mancom, and it's a really small company with really amazing people who I respect and love so much. And I learned so much from my time there. I worked there for about 3 years.
Yeah. So how did the experience in the child talent agency, how did that help you in music?
It totally was different. We didn't really do music at all. We did some musical theater, but I also have some experience in that realm because I was a child actor. So I kind of understood how some of that worked, but it actually was helpful later on because we did have some clients in our management roster when I was working in music who were pursuing, film opportunities and just kind of having a grasp on how auditioning, sides, reading for parts, how that kind of world worked, just kind of gave me a good background for being able to understand those opportunities later on. And entertainment is just one big, you know, sphere of things. So, I knew that it would all come around eventually. So, but I definitely was looking for a more music oriented position during that time.
Yeah. And what are your goals for the future? What are you trying to, do you want your own company? Do you want to move up in this company right now? What is your end goal?
My end goal, you know what? I'm actually still trying to figure that out, aren't we all?
Yeah.
But I've recently left that company because I'm actually going back to school. I'm going to grad school to get my MBA, so in business, and I'm going to Northwestern Kellogg in Chicago starting this fall. So that'll be 2 years, and I'll just be getting a more defined business degree since I already have the music part. So I'm excited. I think it'll just open opportunities for me that if I did want to, go outside of music into other types of media or really whatever I want, it kind of just gives me more opportunities to see what the next step is for me. And I'm excited to kind of figure that out, but I'm not entirely sure right now.
Yeah. So someone going into college right now and
Mhm.
choosing what they want to major in and get their degree in, would you recommend that they do what you did? Or if they knew that they wanted to be behind the scenes, do you think they should immediately go for business or something else?
You know what? I think it really depends on the person because if you want to be in entertainment, you can major in music business, these very specified majors. But, if you ask anybody in the business, everybody's going to have a totally different major of what they actually studied. So you definitely can, major whatever you'd like. And then what I usually say is, when you're looking for an internship or a job after school, being able to spin the knowledge and experiences you've had into something more music oriented is also just as applicable as a music business degree. If you went and studied marketing or business or really whatever, if you are applying to those jobs, you can say, hey, look, I have all this marketing experience. Here's X, Y, and Z that I can apply to marketing plans for music, tour, etc. So I say pick whatever you think is right for you. And then when you're looking for those jobs, you can kind of just be strategic about what skills and things that you're putting forward on your resume kind of thing.
Yeah. And so all that knowledge you have about music publishing, because I see you make tons of videos about it on TikTok, and that's why I follow you. But
Mm-hmm.
did you learn that from college or did you learn that from just pure experience?
You know what? I think a lot of it was just learning in the trenches of the music industry. I certainly got a really good kind of understanding and background of how everything worked while at Berkeley. And I loved, loved, loved my time there. But there definitely is something to say for being thrown in and kind of learning by doing, which was definitely my experience, especially working in a small company. It was a lot of trial and error for me, but I really enjoyed those experiences because you come out of it learning more, I think, and I really enjoyed it. But I think everybody's will be different. But for me, I think I learned the most from just doing the things in real life versus just learning about them. So that's why I always say, if you're able to, internships are so important, especially if you are majoring in something that's not music business. If you have just a kind of more typical degree, if you are studying communications or something like that, but then you have a more entertainment related internship, that'll definitely give you a bit of a um, edge when you're looking for jobs later on. So I definitely would recommend internships if you guys are able to do them.
Yeah, that's good advice. And so when an artist comes to you or comes to your company,
Mm-hmm.
what is happening and what is the reason that they would come to you? I mean, first of all, what happens in an artist's career for them to say, okay, now we need to start going with this published company? And then once that happens, how do you guys select the artist and what do you do with them?
Okay, that's quite a loaded question. I'll see if I can answer all of them. But okay, so I think the first part of your question was like, how does an artist end up, meeting with executives of a management company, publishing company, record label kind of thing? And it definitely is different for every artist, but I would say that you definitely want to put yourself out there before you're in these meetings. With TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, artists can really build a brand for themselves when they're living in their parents' bedroom. They not parents' bedroom, but in their parents' house. But but you can really build a lot on your own before you need a team. So I would say that for the most part, people that are meeting with executives like that are, they've released something that kind of got some traction, or, somebody found them in a Spotify playlist. But I think that really is awesome because it gives everybody the same opportunity to put out a song to get things going. But the biggest hindrance to artists, I think, is just being, not too scared, but just not being ready to release stuff. And I think it's just better to have released things and then grown and release more than to wait and wait and wait and then release, that one perfect song when your competitor artist has released, 10 songs already, and they might not be as polished, but, maybe that's what their audience is looking for. So definitely just being able to put yourself out there and not being afraid and chasing perfection is really important. But, once
Yeah.
you do have a team, like you were saying, it really comes down to what the artist is looking for. Some artists want to release music from their heart. They want to write everything. They want to, whatever. Some artists will need to be put into sessions, it really depends on their goals. Some artists want to do TV, some don't. But it definitely comes down to, you want to know your goals, know what you're going to ask your team for, which is something that artists should do some soul searching. What kind of opportunities would you want your team to bring to you? What kind of artists do you admire? Whose career arc do you think matches yours? And it doesn't have to be an artist in the same genre as you. If you're a rapper, you might look at somebody who's a pop singer and say, that's kind of the trajectory that I'm looking to do, even though that's not the same music as me. So just kind of looking and seeing what other people are doing to give you ideas, that's what I'd say.
Yeah, well, I like what you said there with streaming services and all the other stuff giving equal opportunity, because I'm sure you two have talked with people who are just old and cranky about streaming services, not being able to sell the CDs that they want to sell anymore. But I just don't think they realize that now, and anybody could do it. I mean, you don't just have to have the capital to make CDs, and I really like that part of it, even if you are making less money.
Absolutely. I mean, certainly aren't going to be making as much off record sales as you did 20, 30 years ago. But the bigger thing is building your brand as an artist. So if you're releasing music, people are following you on Instagram, people are following you on TikTok, wherever platform you're on. That's more important, because selling one song, perfect. But building that loyal fan base, you'd rather have, 100 loyal fans that will buy every piece of merch, that will shout on the rooftops when your album comes out, than to have, 1,000 who, listen to the song. So building that core fan base is so important. And the numbers and engagement there, it matters, but it more so matters the dedication of the fans. And that's where consistency really comes in, where I was saying, like, put out that music, make those videos. And it really goes for any industry, musician or not. Just put yourself out there. And, it's scary, but that's the only way that you can start building that fan base. And that's what industry folks are looking for. If you're making amazing songs in your garage, but nobody's hearing them, and you're not giving them that opportunity. So just releasing things, putting stuff out there gives you that opportunity for an A&R to hear your song and say, hey, I want to have a meeting with this act, or, a publisher to say, hey, this songwriter's amazing, and we should, take a meeting and see where this will go. But that's definitely the biggest and hardest step, I think, as an artist to take.
Yeah. So moving on to the second part of my
Mm-hmm.
question, once there is a successful meeting and you guys sign a deal, what happens?
What happens? I don't think there's a specific answer to that. There's lots of different types of deals. I think I already covered the management piece. But if you're talking about a publishing deal, You would want to have all of your songs ready to turn into your publisher. You'd want to have songwriting splits. So if you're a songwriter, you want to make sure that if you're writing with other people,